Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Lily Munster. She's the last of my Munster set. You can probably tell already I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so forgive the voice here and any occasional coughs. Now, in my original, I used green for the skin. This time around, I'm going to use a pale skin tone. I'm going to go more like the black and white version. This is closer to the color version. For the hair, you're going to want black and white. For the belts and the wrap pieces here, the rope, you want black or gray. For the dress, I'm going to go with white this time, but in my original I used pink, so that's up to you. Now for the eyes, you can use bands. I'm going to be using a couple of small round pearl beads, and I'll show you how to thread those on using a piece of dental floss. I'm also going to be attaching a bead for the necklace, and that's going to go onto a thin black or gray thread. If you choose to do this, you'll want some scissors on hand as well. And if you want to use a charm or a band instead, or if you want to leave the necklace off, that's totally fine. I am going to make everything with you except for one arm and one addition. I'm not quite sure what to call this, the sleeves, the draping sleeves. But I will show you how to make it with the other, and then I'll get you to pause. And I think those are all of our notes. You'll want to have on hand a hook or a holding hook, a few C-clips, and your loom in the offset configuration. So let's start by making the arm. Pick the color that you want for your Lily Munster skin tone. Take a single and wrap it 1, 2, 3, and 4 times around the hook. We're going to take another single, stretch it, twist it, put it back on top of itself so it's nice and tight, and we put this on the end of the hook and push our wrapped piece through. Take another single, double it, stretch it, twist it, double it over, and run it through, and we want a total of 11. So we're going to do this 9 more times. Now, if you are really wanting to preserve, like to save some of your bands for other projects, it's totally cool if you want to keep this at 9 or 10 instead of all 11. The idea of doing all 11 is just that this way it'll reach through around beyond your sleeves, and it's all going to be nice and clear. So when you have it at your desired length, you can put it on your hook and pause to make a second arm. And then we're going to come to the loom to do the extension for the sleeve for the dress. So pick the color that your dress will be and take 2 bands, come from the top side peg to the second peg down on the side. And we're going to come down 5 more times using double bands along that side. So we will have a total of 6 sets of double bands. Take 2 white bands now, or sorry, dress colored bands, because you might be using pink, and take them from the second peg down on the side down diagonally to the 3rd peg down in the center. And now we're going to come down this row, double bands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So this row will end just below the first row. And then we're going to take 2 more bands, and you're going to count to your 5th peg down in the center. So this will be at the end of the second set of double bands you put down, and stretch it across to your 5th peg down on the far side to start the last row. We're going to come down 1, 2, and 3 times on that row. Still using double bands. Okay, grab a single, and go to the 7th peg down on the closest side where you laid that last band. Put a single on top of the peg, twist, stretch, and pull it over just like you would with the ponytail. A second twist and a third twist. And we want to repeat this on the 8th peg down in the center. So what I like to do is kind of find the gap and reach through it, pull it and stretch it, 2 and 3 twists. Now if you find it easier to put it on your hook first and then pull it through or pull it over, that's totally fine. We're gonna cap off the last row that we did as well. For holding bands, we're just using singles, and we're going to stretch straight across. So if you look at the ones that you just capped, you're going to go up 1 row for each of those and bring a band across diagonally. Repeat that above, and then you're going to take a single, and it's going to cover the 3rd and 4th pegs down on the close side and the 4th and 5th pegs down in the center. And from here we should be ready to loop. So I just realized there's something I didn't write down in my notes here. It's okay, hopefully figure it out. Well, I'm going to show you this on the closest row first. You're going to take the open part of your hook and point it up, and with the back of your hook push back that cap band, grab the bottom 2 bands and bring them up, around, and onto the next peg. You can loop up 2, 3 more times. Actually, you can loop up 4 times. So we're going to stop when we get to the 2nd peg from the top. And let's loop up in the middle row, but we're not going to go all the way. We're going to go up 1, 2, and 3 times. And on the far side, once again, you want to push back that cap band, grab the bottom 2, and loop up 1, 2, and 3 times. Reach into that 5th peg down on the far side, grab the bands and bring them to the center, up diagonally back to the peg that they came from. So you should see a clear space right here. And loop up 2 more times in the middle row. And then loop from the middle row the 3rd peg down to the 2nd peg down in the center. And come back into that 2nd peg down in the center and loop up once. And then we can ease this off the loom. I'm going to start taking it off from the far side. I've just turned this around to reach it better. And we're starting at the top and coming down as we remove this. You can see I've got my hand on top of the rest of the ones on the close side because we don't want to lose the bands on the top side peg. Those are going to go onto your hook. I'm just going to turn this backwards actually. And we can now remove it. And you'll want to pause to make a 2nd wing. I keep calling them wings, they're not wings, a 2nd sleeve. Alright, let's go back and start working on the body. So we are going to take 2 skin tone bands, come down from the top center peg to the 2nd peg down in the center, and repeat from the 2nd to the 3rd peg. Take 2 skin tone bands from the 2nd center peg to the 2nd side peg, and do that again for the opposite side. And then we're going to have 2 bands of your dress color coming down once on either side from the 2nd peg to the 3rd peg. The next part's trying so hard not to cough here. Okay, the next part we want to emphasize the shape on the chest here, so for that we want a number of bands layered down, and I'm going to use 8. If you're concerned that's going to be too hard to work with, you can use 6 instead. I'm going to put this down on either side, same thing. In the middle from the 3rd peg down to the 4th peg, we're just putting down double double dress colored bands. And then we want to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well actually just to the bottom of the loom on every single run of the rows. I'm not sure why I'm counting that. We'll make this really easy. Double bands and lay them down starting at your 4th pegs to your 5th pegs and just continue right to the bottom. I haven't done too many figures lately that have really long bodies. I'm gonna get used to stopping it at a point. Now I'll tell you, we are going to be making side extensions to puff up the dress a little bit, and we are going to be adding a number of pieces, or doing a lot of hook work after the fact once everything is loomed up and off the loom. So if you don't see the belt pieces coming on here, that's because we are going to be doing those afterwards as a separate step. Now what I forgot to write down in my notes is where I put my doubled over single band in my as a holding band. But I've got a pretty good feeling where it was, and I'm hoping I can just check my picture here in a second and figure it out like more definitively. Now I didn't make shoes. We're going to leave that part out. For the bottom of the outfit, you're going to take 2 dress colored bands and stretch them across your bottommost pegs, and then reach it up over the bottommost middle peg. And you might want to use your hook here. You're going to stretch the other piece from underneath and over that same peg. Just double checking something for you here. Okay. I'm just putting a peg here for a second so I can remember this. You're going to go to the 3rd pegs down and stretch a band across all of those. The 4th pegs down and the 5th pegs down. And on the next one, you're going to take a single, double it over, and stretch it across. That was the piece I was looking for there. The rest of these will be single bands stretched across in triangle formation. Okay, so we can put our arms out at this point onto the 2nd pegs down on either side and try to position it so that it's facing in the direction you want it to. I'm gonna put this one on the 2nd peg down on the far side. And my other arm will go down on the close side because that's the way that they're curling that I want them to be. Although this one might need to be flipped around. I just put my hook back through it and I'm turning it upside down, back on. That's okay. You can leave your sleeve pieces to the side for now still. And we can put on our side extensions. Just check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 onto the 5th peg down. Okay. Side extensions, you're going to take the color from your dress, take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3, or 4 times onto your hook, and pull it onto 10 sets of double white bands. We're going to be making one of these for each side. Because we want Lily to have a nice puffy dress. This is 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're going to take the bands that are on the hook and put them onto your fifth peg down on the side. And then this next part, what we've got to do is stretch the chain down, and as you pull and stretch, you're going to grab a piece out of each of the next links to go onto the pegs below. So I'm pulling it down. Oops. Just going to hold it here. I'm going to find a piece and pull it over. And you want to get each piece, like each link of the chain, connected to the peg that's next in line. This is a lot easier when I can hold the loom against something. Now when you get to the bottom, you are going to have one link left, and you're going to have a little tiny puff where your cap band was, and that makes it flare out at the bottom. Let's do one more of these for the opposite side, and same technique here. Single wrapped 1, 2, 3, or 4 times. Hold on to 10 sets of double white or dress colored bands. And you don't have to stay with pink either if there's another color you'd like to do that you feel fits. This is 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Attach it once more, fifth peg down on the side. And you can see I've got a better grip from this direction because I can reach my left hand around while I use my right hand to pull this over. But you use whatever anchoring method is helpful for you, or whatever will keep things sturdy while you find the pieces that you need. Now another thing you can do is you can connect this to the bottom at the same time, like right after you connect it at the top. If you want to dig into that correct peg and place that over like if you wanted to stretch this here first and place that over, you could do that and then pull the pieces out. But honestly, this will work just as well here. Okay, so we are all set to loop up. I'm going to start with the center row, just because it's the easiest. And we're going to grab the bottom bands and loop forward, and we'll go until we hit the skin tone bands. So until the third peg down, we can stop there briefly. Now this side is pretty straightforward. Just 2 things to be aware of. One is that when you get to the 4th peg down, you have those 8 bands. So those you can loop up together or in sets or one by one. But just remember to get all 8. The other thing is, you'll see we have a lot of bands here and they're all the same color. So what you want to look for when you're looping is the bottommost set. You can see it's kind of riding like a wave down here. So it goes directly down, that's what you want to get. Push back the top bands and the cap bands. Grab the bottom 2, bring them forward. Push back, get your bottom 2, bring them forward. And we're going to loop straight until we reach the arm. And just make sure you're pushing back everything first before you get the bottom ones. Otherwise, you're liable to pull off some of your holding bands. So here I am at the 8. I'm going to carefully lift them all while putting my thumb on that 3rd peg down to keep the rest in place. Oh, and I missed one. But as I was saying, or as I can say again here, You can certainly do this with a couple of bands at a time if that's easier for you. Reach through to the bottom two, carefully, don't lose those, and bring it up. Go inside the arm, which are your bands on the second peg down, and loop towards the middle second peg. We need to loop up the opposite side, and we'll do that in the same way. Let's get everything lined up here. You can always push your bands down, and you can always put a thumb on top of your peg if you're, see, I can go like this and just sort of hold it here if you're worried about bands coming loose. And loop to the center again. Turn your loom to the side if you need to see better or reach better into it. And go to that third peg down and loop up once and twice, bottom two bands only. Now you can ease this off, but hold on to the bands on the top center peg. Really excited to see how this is gonna look in the white instead of the pink, because the pink came out nice, but I wasn't so happy with the effect of the green. That's why I'm trying this with the more of a black and white or skin tone kind of thing. Yeah, I think the issue with the green for her is just that it's so very dark that it tends to, like, it blends a bit with the black hair. I'm going to put my hook through the bands on the top center peg and ease the rest of this off. Okay, if you have any loose bands, grab them now. If not, just decide which side you want for the front and put this on your hook and get it ready. And I think we will add the arms afterwards. We can now start on the face though. So come back to your loom. And we're going to take 2 white bands and come from the top center to the top left, or the one closest to you. 2 black bands to the opposite side, and 2 black bands down towards the middle in that center row. Now on the left side, the closer side, we want 1 set of double white. And on the other 2, we want double black bands coming down. Oh, sorry, on the far side, we want double black bands coming down once. Then we're going to switch to green and come down 3 times. Oh, sorry, I used green the first time. I'm using skin tone this time. The color you want for your skin, you're going to come down 3 times down the center. And that's going to take you to your 5th peg down. Come down twice on either side with double skin tone bands, whatever your skin tone may be here. And then take 2 bands from the 4th side peg to the 5th center peg, and do that again from the other side. Let's put on some doubled over holding bands. We're going to need 3, or at least 2. So take a single skin tone, twist it, put it across your 4th pegs down, make a triangle there. Do that again for your 3rd pegs down. And for the next one, we can actually use a black. But if you'd like to use a skin tone, you can do that as well. You know what, I think I am going to use a skin tone just because I'm worried this might show through a little bit. It didn't matter so much when I was using the green. Okay, so we need to put our body on now, and we're going to transfer the bands, the neck bands, from the hook onto the 5th peg down in the center. Just pop those on top, make sure you've got all of them, and you can twist this to the side a little bit. We're going to make our eyes, and if you want to do that using bands, I would suggest a color a little distinctive from your skin tone and your hair. And you're going to take the bands, purple would probably be a nice color for her, and wrap each of 2 bands 3 times onto your hook, and pull both of them onto a skin tone band. This goes across your second pegs, from your second peg down on one side to the second peg down on the other. So stretch it across like so. And if you are using beads with a large hole in them, you can transfer them directly from your hook onto that same skin tone band. I'm going to be using beads here, and I'm going to use a technique I got from His Delicious Designs. We take a piece of floss, or you can use a needle and thread or a thin wire. I'm going to put it through my 2 eye beads. And then they'll go through the skin tone band. And we bring the floss back over and back through from the opposite direction. You just want to kind of pinch it on the other side. For this part, it's really handy if you've got nails. Without it, makes it a little bit trickier. But the nice thing about dental floss is it's generally waxed, and that means it likes to slide through without too much trouble. Pull and take your floss out, and whatever eyes you've made, you're going to put them onto that second peg down. You want to get your hook or your finger sort of in between the 2 eyes and pull the band that they're on into 2 sections, and 1 section will go under the 3rd peg down in the middle. Coming at this from a funny angle, but we'll get it. Okay, so it's split up in the middle, 1 goes under that 3rd peg down. We're going to make a couple of some hair extensions. I am going to use white on the close side. So to do that, we need a single white band, and you're going to twist it 1, 2, 3, and 4 times onto the hook. And then this goes on to 6 sets of double white bands. We're going to put this onto the second peg down on the side. We need another chain identical but in black for the opposite side. So take a single black and wrap it 4 times. Pull that onto 6 sets of double black bands. Place that on the second peg down on the far side, the side furthest from you. And we're going to make chains to go on the top, and those are going to be the longer hair pieces that you see on the outside. These are both going to be black, and I think we did, yeah, chains of 9. So take a single black, wrap it 1, 2, 3, and 4 times, and it's going to go onto 9 sets of double black bands. This is 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. I'm going to put this onto the top peg in the center, and we're going to be kind of pulling it over into the side after, and we want to make one more that's going to hang down on the opposite side. So single black, wrap 1, 2, 3, 4 times onto 9 sets of double black bands again. Right, and this goes onto the top center peg as well, just over the other piece. Now we're ready to loop up the face. Now I think I also, I can't remember, but I think what I did is I took a piece of the next piece of the black chain and pulled it over the next peg down. So you can do that if you want to. I think that'll help keep it a little closer to the hair. If you want, you can even stretch it down and put it over the next one as well. But we don't want too much black showing over the face. Alright, so let's reach in under the neck, find your top 2 bands and bring them over to the left side. The next 2 skin tone, bring them up to the right side or far side. The last ones are going to go up. There we go. And I'm going to loop up the closer side first. So reach under, find your bottom 2 bands on that 4th peg down and loop forward. Push back your holding band and loop forward. Grab the bottom 2 whites and loop forward. And then we're going to loop inwards into the top center peg. Now I think, just because, no, we should be okay. If you want, you can reach this white piece over the hair extensions just so it's more towards the back. But I think it will be okay either way. I didn't do that the first time around, so it should be all good. Okay, opposite side, far side, loop straight up to the top, bottom 2 bands, moving forward each time. And reach inside and loop into the middle, and go back to that 4th peg down in the center and loop up 3 times. And just get inside the band with the eyes there. Get 1 or 2 black bands, and we're going to secure this. Put your hook through the bands on the top center peg. And grab your 1 or 2 securing bands. I say 1 or 2 because 1 will suffice, but 2 will make it stronger. So it's up to you. And I just put the opposite side back on the hook once I've pulled it through. So just to show you again, I pulled it through, and then I'm going to reach the bottom side over. And then one side will go over the other and over the end of the hook, and we'll have ourselves a slip knot. You can carefully take this off with the loom now. There we go. Alright, so everything's kind of everywhere. That's okay, we're going to fix it. Make sure she's facing front here. You want to turn to the back. Put your hook under a couple of the black bands and grab your securing bands and pull those under. Or you can pull this first set over. We're going to put this onto a C-clip. Just turning it around, making sure our front looks okay. Now you can use a different C-clip for every everything that we do back here, or you can kind of combine them onto the same ones, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So I'm still on, well, let's go back to the front for a second. What we're going to do is line up the hair so that it sits next to the face, pinch it in place there, and then when we turn it around, and we're kind of upside down, we go through a couple of pieces of the back of each chain. And you can add another band here, like so, to pull through, or you can just take a piece out of the skin tone of the face. And I'm going to pull it under the black bands. Try that again. Got her upside down here. Pull the skin band through. And again, you can put it on a C-clip or kind of weave it back. I'm going to go under a couple of nearby bands until it's back to the center. You see what we've done is we've cinched it in place here. And you can do it tighter, you can connect it lower, you can connect it in multiple places, it's up to you. I'm going to weave it in again, go under a nearby band, pull one piece over. And you could at this point put a C-clip on here, or you can keep going. So I'm going to stretch across, I'm going to go across, go under a band, and bring that over, go under a band, bring that over, and now I'm going to go through the hair chains on the other side. So I grab a couple of pieces of white and a couple of pieces of black. I'll turn this around for you in a second so you can see what this looks like. So this is the back side, and as I said, I'm through a piece of the skin tone, I'm through a piece of each hair chain, and you could grab a piece of this, like a piece of the black here, and pull it through the rest, or this time I'm just going to grab a new band. So this is the other way you can do it. And I'm going to slide this band under or through all the other pieces. And I'm sorry, it's hard to do at that angle, so I'm going to have to turn this around just for a second, but I'll show you as it goes through. And you'll find this yourself, that there are certain times when you'll have to tilt or turn or switch your figure around to get it to work. Okay, so I've brought this piece through, and I can grab the other end of the hook and slide it under the first side. And you can put this on a C-clip, or I'm gonna weave it in again and connect it to one of the pieces we've already got. The reason I'm doing this, even though it looks a little more convoluted, it might be a little messier, but we still have a few things to do, and I don't want to have C-clips all over the back, so that's why I'm trying to join some of the pieces as we do them. And now I see the hair still sticking out. I'm gonna do another run through right at the bottom. So I'm gonna go to the very, very bottom, grab a piece or two out of each, grab a piece from the neck. Now you don't have to do all of this if you want the hair to be a little bit floppy, or if you just want to use some C-clips to secure, that's fine. This is just the way that I like to do it here. For my own personal one, I'm going to take another band and slide it through all of those. And we will move on to the next part in a second, I promise. Just hold on, bear with me. Put the other side on. And I'm going to put these both onto a C-clip. So I know this time if I make a kind of a knot, it's going to pull them a little closer together than what I want. Now we've got a little stretch, but the hair is also in place. I'm going to put on the pupils. I'm just going to use a black Sharpie. If you have a purple permanent marker, that would work well. If you want to do another color, or maybe your beads are already black or you want to leave it blank, it's entirely up to you. So I'm just drawing on some circles. I'm going to draw a little line across for kind of eyeshadow. I might put in some purple a little bit later as well. Alright, let's see what's next. We're going to do the little neckline. So we'll put on our sleeves first. We'll get those out of the way. So the way that I'm turning it is so that the longer piece is going to be facing the back. And I'm just going to, you can use your hook or your fingers, I'm just going to stretch it out with my fingers and pop it over the arm, and we're going to secure it in a minute, but for now we're just going to stretch it on. You can see, as I said, the longer pieces in the back. It's not a critical thing, but I think it looks a little nicer that way. I'm going to take the other one off and stretch it out and press that over the arm. So I'm just sort of rolling it over the arm and popping it up. And then you can use a C-clip. You can leave it the way it is if you want to, or use a C-clip, or just take a piece out of each of the wings at the top. And we're going to weave it in a little bit so that it holds. So I'll go under a piece of the dress here, and then my sleeve piece goes over, grab a piece of skin tone, bring the white over, let's go through one more white. And the reason that I'm not just pulling it right across is because then we're going to get the whole thing like tight at the back like wings, and we don't want it to be super tight. We just want to be sure that it's going to stay. And you can put this on a C-clip, or use a C-clip you've already used, or you can pop it over the arm if you want. I'm just going to put this onto a C-clip, and I'll be using that again, so it's okay. Alright, so we have arms, sleeves, face, eyes, hair. Next up is the V for the neck. You're going to take 2 black bands, put one on the hook, one on the end of the hook, slide the first piece over, put the other side on, and pull one side over the other. Or we can do this another way, but I think, no, we will do it another way. I'm going to make this easier for you. You're going to reach through with your hook from the back to the front, right where the skin tone ends, and take a black band, bring it to the back, and you can, I'm going to hold this here on my finger, you can put this front piece onto a C-clip or a hook, or leave it where it is. What you want to do is reach up under the hair and come through right on top, right by the neck here. So what I think I'll do is go through a couple of skin tone bands on the side of the head. Okay, so this is the side of the neck. I'm going to take this black piece and pull it back through. I think that'll line up where we want it to. Okay. Or maybe we'll try it closer to the white. I don't like it there. Let's do it a little closer to the white. This is part of the process, right, is figuring out what looks even better than the first thing. I'm going to just grab this over the arm then, and we're going to connect the pieces by pulling one side over the other, and onto the C-clip it goes. And let's do this for the opposite side. Come through from the back to the same place that you started that last side of the V. Bring your black band through, reach over the arm and grab it and pull one over the other, put it on the C-clip. Okay, so there's our V. Just gonna pop those sleeves up a little further. For our belts, we're gonna do something similar in the middle section. We're gonna bring it from the center outwards. So you need 2 more bands for that part. And if you look at where we did our neck piece, we want to jump down about 1 and 2 links. Put your hook through the center. Grab your bands. You can even put both on at once, but I'm just going to do one at a time. We want to reach up and grab through the side here. Just about there. Take the black piece, slide it through, and through the other black piece. We need one more for the opposite side, or to go to the opposite side, whatever. I should say here. Put another C-clip on to hold that. Back through the middle, grab that next piece, collect it from the opposite side. This is the link that's under that link that had the 8 in them, the 8 in it. Doing just what I did before, I'm sliding it through all of those. We're going to put this onto the C-clip as well. Alright, next one is just 2 bands together, or you can take a single and double it over. And we're going to stretch it and put it up over the body and let it sit just a little bit under the V. We're going to secure that a little better in a minute, but let's put it on first. And then we've got a chain for this bottom piece. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doubled over bands on top of a single. So take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Can do maybe 3 because we're going to be pulling a little bit of that through. Take a single, stretch it out, make a figure 8 and double it over onto itself and put it on top. We want 7 more of these, or 6 more of these for a total of 7. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to put this onto a single. We're going to put this onto 2 bands. Now I should mention, now that you've gone to all this work, you can play around and maybe find a way to do these with string as well. We're going to take this doubled over band and we're going to stretch it around and we're going to be connecting it on either side. So you can put a C-clip or a hook through the one side and the other. We're going to take a band from on top of the double bands we added and 1 band from below. This is going to secure that as we do this and also line it up a little better. Take one side of the piece with the long rope here and carefully slide it under. And I'm going to put that onto, I'll put it on a new C-clip. As I said, you might find you want to weave these in a little bit better after, and that's fine too. I'm going to connect the other one on the other side. You know, this is a little bit tight. I think I'm... No, we'll do it like this. Okay, other side, grab a white band from above and a white band from below the black belt part and pull your black piece through. And this is kind of a stretch, so what we're going to do, take a black band, pull it through, put one side over the other, and we're going to stretch this around, grab the opposite side. Okay, so this is the other side that we put on the C-clip already. We're going to bring that single band through. Actually, let me turn it around and go through from the opposite direction. This is going to give us a little bit less tension, a little more room to move around here. And then that can go into that C-clip. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. Put that C-clip under a nearby band so it doesn't flop. And the last thing to do here is just to get this rope piece to sit. So go under a band in the middle but lower. Take a piece out of your cap band for that belt and pull that to the back. You can use a new C-clip or weave it up to one of the ones you already have on, which is what I'm going to do. So grab a nearby band and you pull the further one over the one closest to the end. Go up a couple more times. to wear at a C-clip, or as I said, you can use a new C-clip altogether. This just makes it a little bit cleaner on the back. And the final thing to do, totally optional, but if you want to have a little necklace and you have a bead or a charm that you'd like to use, you can take that bead, charm, or band and put it onto a string or thread, thin piece of thread. I would suggest a black thread. We're going to tie a knot on top so that it doesn't wiggle around too much. For that, you want to cross your threads and then take the one that's on top and bring it over, under, and through. You can do that twice if you want to, just to make it extra secure. And then we bring it around the neck and we do a careful loose knot. Same thing, you make it kind of an X. The one that's on top will go over and under and through. And you want to leave a little bit of looseness so that you can make a second knot. I'm just going to see where this is sitting before I secure it anymore. Okay, so that's good. I think that's everything. So let me hold this up for you to see. This is our Maryland Munster. The belt came out better on the first go. I think if you put your black belt a little closer to the edge, you might have less of the white or pink showing through. But at any rate, there she is. She's done. And that is the last of my Munster set. I hope you'll check out the rest. And thank you for watching.